Hello and welcome to my channel. Hi, I'm Wendy J. Haney, and today it's December 26th as I'm recording this, and this will be coming out on, I think January 10th, which means the new year. So today I decided to do a video to give you some thoughts on what you can do to get your year started off right so you get your sewing space set up, organized, and ready for the new year so that when you want to sew and go into your space, you feel like you're ready to get to work and you have what you need and it's clean and organized and you don't look around and feel like you need to clean up. I'll admit I work better when I'm in a clean space. But with that said, I am awful about keeping things organized. I end up having clutter throughout the year. My extra table across the room that's supposed to be for bigger cutting and bigger measuring always gets piled high with fabric. We visit quilt stores to take videos and show you quilt stores. Well, you can't go into a quilt store and do that and not come out with something, right? Yeah, right? Yeah, you're in agreement. And yeah, I have a fabric addiction. So it all gets piled there instead of getting organized when I get it home. So I'm going to give you some thoughts on things that you can do to get your year off started right. Okay, first of all, clean up your collection of pins. I know, I'm guilty of it. Pins, needles, whatever. I don't throw anything out. And then it's like, oh, that one's bent, or that one's rusty, or it's dull. I've had them for 20 years. And yeah, I'm sure some of my pins are 20 years old. So go through your pins, get them organized. I have one set that I use generally for my quilting and piecing. And then I have some others over here that are longer, probably a little duller, that work well if, I'm doing something with the long arm or something else. So I have a different set. I love these magic pins. These magic pins, you can find them on Amazon. I'll put a link below in the description. They have a silicone head that you can iron over and they won't melt. There's different types of sharpness. I like the shorter, sharper, finer point ones. There's different lengths, and now I've got ones that are the easy grip, kind of got a little rounded end, but now they have some with a silicone end that is flat. That could come in very handy. So get your pins organized. Find what you need for that and get rid of the bent, broken, no tip, whatever. You know what I mean. The next thing to do is, if you happen to have a design wall, I don't. My walls are full of shelves, but I really would like a design wall. Get your lint roller out. Roll it out, get all the fuzzies off there, get it all nice and clean so it looks right, looks good, it's ready for your next project. That lint roller also works really good on your cutting mat. In fact, I just did that. But what you really should be doing once a year is cleaning your cutting mats. I know, kind of a big adventure, especially for some of us that have fairly large mats, but check out my video of how to clean your mat and why it's good to do that. We touch the mats, we have things on our hands, grease, whatever. So it would be good to get those cleaned. Do that. Now, you've replaced your pins, go to your sewing machines and get your needle replaced. This is another one. I know, I'm guilty of it. I just keep sewing. Oh, I haven't sewed that much. I'm not gonna replace my needle. I'm awful. And needles are not that expensive. Heck, I was doing embroidery work for the whole frickin' month of December to do Christmas projects and Christmas presents. Did I change the embroidery needle out on either one of my machine? No. And then the guy that installed my new long arm commented about the needles. He goes, if you hear like a thud, thud, thump, it's because it's not sharp enough. You need to switch out your needle and get sharper ones in there that are fresh. So go to all your machines, get your needles switched out. The other thing that I do is when you change your needles out, I'm trying to make sure I put a sticky note or a tablet next to my sewing machine and I make a note. Okay, switched out my needles at this date. I used to be really good at it with my long arm. Okay, quilted this quilt, changed the needle. Little project, didn't change my needle, etc. Do the same thing with your sewing machine. Okay, now that you've got your sewing machines all set with good needles, let's see, rotary cutters? Yep. I'm probably a little better at that because it's kind of obvious when they aren't cutting well. So go through, and if you know you haven't changed your rotary cutter blade for quite a while, get those switched out as well. And once again, find a spot where you can make note of this is when you switched out your blade. I tried writing on the blade with a marking pen. Well, if you use it long enough, you still can't, it wears out, so I can't tell when I replaced that blade. So we've got that. Oh, got my notes here, sorry. The other thing is, as you're working with your sewing machines, get bobbins made. Yeah, for me, I've been going through embroidery machine bobbins like crazy. So I'm going to go and sit down. I'll probably put on some music, get my Kindle book. I'm going to sit there and I'm going to get 6 white and 6 black bobbins made up for embroidery. I have a little plastic bin that holds them, and I'm going to fill up the bin. Half white, half black. I'm ready to go when I want a project. Do the same thing with those key thread colors that you use. For me, it's generally white, black, and a taupe or a gray. Get a bobbin spun up for each of those, and then you're set and ready to go. Shears. Yep, your sewing shears. When was the last time you had those sharpened? Well, prior to me moving to Tennessee, probably not at all. Yeah, I don't think about it. We lived in a rural area, harder to get somebody to do them. Didn't think about it, but you need to get them sharpened so they're in great shape. Luckily, after we moved here, I discovered a neighbor that wants things to do, and he sharpens scissors. So mine were sharpened probably either early this year or the end of 2022. So I think I'm going to check with him and have him sharpen a few of my scissors again, so they're good to know for the year, and then I can be on a yearly schedule. Okay, your irons. Yep, if you're like me, I do applique. They can get gucky, especially if you're not using an applique sheet. Go check your iron. If it's clean, great. If not, get it cleaned. And nowadays, you know what? You don't need to use a DIY method of salt in a paper bag or something. They have iron cleaning stuff on Amazon. And your quilt store might have it as well, so check with them, but I'll put the link below. The last thing I'm thinking of here is your fusible web and fabric glue. Yeah, I'm guilty of that, of grabbing my tube of fabric glue and going, well, that's dried out. So check what you have. If it's good, great, you're good. Your fusible web, I'm notorious for having a ton of it. Check it out. If it's brittle and coming away with the sticky stuff, throw it out. Buy it as you need it or in small quantities, because some of it will go bad eventually. I'm guilty of buying a lot at one time. So I have to go check on mine. And I know that's a hard thing to do. I have a tendency not to want to throw out anything. But there's nothing worse than going to use it, thinking you have plenty for your project and finding, it's not sticking for my applique stuff. So keep that in mind and check it out. The other thing I discovered that I need to do, and well, maybe more than once a year, get the handy duster out. As I was getting organized and thinking about this, I'm looking around, oh, that's dusty. Oh, that's dusty. Oh, yeah, it's everywhere. And then when we're cutting thread or cutting fabric, that leaves dust. I finally discovered when I'm in the quilt factory all day, I come upstairs and go, "Oh, why is everything so hazy?" I take out my glasses and look at them and go, well, because there's fabric dust all over my glasses. So as you're organizing and picking up and cleaning, get that duster out. It works good on a lot of places, and you won't have to look at the dust and the fuzz anymore. Also, your sewing machine maintenance. This is a once a year thing. I always take my sewing machines to get them serviced once a year. Probably not necessarily something to think about doing, immediately the first of the year. My guess is, or I hope is, that you already have a timeline that you take them in. So I got all mine serviced right before we moved last year, which means, oops. Sadly, I need to find a new service provider here in Tennessee and get my machines serviced because it has been more than a year since they were. So keep that in mind, that you need to do regularly as well. Okay, now that we got a lot of the general, hey, getting things all nice and ready for you to sew, here's some other things that are a little bit bigger things. But by getting organized and doing some of these things, you will be just so much more happier in your sewing space when you can come down and find what you need and know what to work on and not look around like I do and go, oh, get distracted with, oh, I should do that. I should organize that. UFOs. Yep, those pesky unfinished objects. If you've been quilting any amount of time, well, I'm sure you have them. I do. Pull them out. Find them, pull them out. And maybe you just want to find the first 6. If you've got a serious amount of them, don't let this overwhelm you. Pull out 6 and start with that. I am actually going to pull out my UFOs, and most of mine luckily are in a Alvin bag, which you may not know what they are, and I sadly meant to grab one to show you. I will get a picture and show you and have Kevin put it up here in a little box so you can see what they are. They are fantastic, and they keep your projects clean and organized, and then you can label them on the outside. Mine go in an Alvin bag or a plastic bin. Home Depot, oh my gosh. Thank goodness, bins galore. And then I can label them. So get your projects, everything you need for that project, and then label the bag or the bin. Then pick out 6. Pick out your top 6, number them 1 to 6, whether you number the bags or create a sheet and tape it to the wall and go, this is the order I'm going to work on my unfinished objects this year. And by taking just 6, if you can work on one in a 2-month time span, you will have 6 projects done in the year. I know this is a good goal because life throws you all sorts of other things to do, like, oh yeah, a baby quilt. Yeah, great nieces and nephews are still popping, so yeah. We've got that going on, and that gets in the way. So check out those UFOs. If you go through some of those and you go, let's face it, I don't care. I got it from somebody else. It's not going to get done. It's no longer relevant. Ask a quilting friend. Maybe they look at it and go, oh, I love it. I'll take that. Gift it to them. And if you don't have that, take it to a quilt guild. They may find use for it also. Otherwise, strip it down. Get rid of the project, take the fabric, use the fabric for something else, and don't think of it as a UFO anymore. It's been parceled out to be used for something else. Okay, magazines and books. I know, I get a ton of quilting magazines in the mail all the time, and they have a tendency to get browsed through and then left on the coffee table upstairs. And yeah, they pile up pretty good. And sometimes they get hauled down here to the quilt factory. But I have a way that I organize them by cutting them out of the magazine and putting them in binders. If you want to see more about how I organize my magazines and things, I do have a video out. So check on that video and you can see how I do that. And get rid of what you don't want. I also have a tendency to collect books because I've gotten them freebies from other people. Somebody's passed away and they had a stack of books and I was giving them, or they were in a guild and I'm like, oh, I could use that. I really need to go through them and go, you know, I probably won't. So once again, if you're not going to use them, gift them to a friend, gift them to a quilt guild, because somebody there will in fact enjoy them and want to take them, and it frees up your space for more important things that you will use. Okay, yeah, this next one, fabric. There's two pieces to it. One, your stash, your big pieces of fabric. And I'm talking about anything that is more than 1/4 yard. Anything 1/4 yard or less is going to be put and considered scraps. I know, that's just one way to think of it. So your bigger fabrics, I would highly suggest, if you can, organize them. I organize in two ways, by color, but then by type. Because oftentimes I make quilts that are unique to a person, or I have a tendency to buy lots of fabric having to do with, I don't know, wine, doggies. So I have bins that are labeled baby fabric, dogs, wine, music, nautical, you get my point, and then the rest are by color. That way, when you're working on a project and you need fabric, instead of immediately feeling like, oh, I don't know where anything is. I don't know if I have anything. I'm going to go to the fabric store, go to the quilt store. This time you can go, I need some green. I wonder what I have. There's my bin, pull it out. Do what works for you to organize your fabric so that you can use from your stash. I'm finally getting better at that, versus immediately jumping to go and buy new fabric for every project. The other thing is those scraps, anything that's 1/4 yard or less. My fat quarters, I do put in a bin. I have a bin that's meant for spools of fabric, or, oh, sorry, not spools of fabric, spools of thread, but it's great for putting my fat quarters in, that I can kind of layer them by colors. If I were to go and grab something from my fat quarter and then cut into it but not fully use it, well, the rest of it goes into my scraps. Scraps, been a challenge. One friend suggested that I get bins. Yep, nice little bins, not too big, and I've labeled them. So I've got bins for 1.5 inch. No, I do not deal with anything less than 1.5 inches. 1.5, 2, 2.5, 3 to 3.5, 4 to 4.5, etc. You get it. I put that stuff in there as far as what the largest width is of those fabric pieces. Great, not by color. And then I had another one that was like 5 and up, or more than 5. I've now discovered, after working on a few projects for Christmas, I am going to skip the bin of, I'm thinking I'm going to do a 4 to 5, and then anything over 5 is going to get switched over to a bin of color. So anything less than 5 is by size, anything more than 5 inches is going to be categorized by color. So we'll see how that goes. And then also I found that I do a lot of machine embroidery applique, mug rugs and things that I need just itty bitty little pieces. I'm gonna now have another bin that's literally itty bitty pieces. And it's just those scraps that I cut off things that go, oh, that's big enough I might use. And I'm gonna throw them in there so I can dig through them when I want a color for my machine embroidery applique. Okay, got your fabrics, batting. Yep, I was looking around and going, I have a tendency to save batting. Go through your batting. If it's small enough that you know you're never going to use, get rid of it. Otherwise, kind of categorize. The smallest piece I need now is for mug rugs. Anything smaller? Seriously, Wendy, get rid of it. Another thing I was thinking about as far as keeping organized is your rulers. Yeah. Now, if you just have your basic rulers, hey, you're good. You know where they are. I have a tendency to collect rulers for different projects. And of course, because I have a YouTube channel and want to show how to use different rulers, I have a lot. I figured for smaller rulers, I have a slick way. I have a binder. Yep, you can buy these binder, what would you call them? Binder holders, or things that go in a binder. Bags that go in a binder. But the slick thing is, they are Ziploc. So you can put things in there, zip them tight, and put them in your binder. This is a way for you to keep your binders in one spot and the instructions that go with the binder. So I have lots of Deb Tuckers. That's on one side, more on that side. It's a slick way to do it. I have 2 of these. The other really handy thing for this is when you go to a quilt retreat and you didn't quite get organized fully before you left, you could throw your binders in the truck, car, whatever you drive, and you have them in case you're running in a project and go, oh, I forgot my flying geese ruler. Been there, done that. Or you can take one binder and just put in the rulers you need, depending on what projects you've chosen to take to quilt retreat. Okay, I think we got everything pretty well organized now. But there's always those areas. For me, I still need to get my embroidery thread reorganized and on a wall and on pegs, because we put a long arm in and that caused some things to get moved. And yeah, you look around your space and go, I need to sit and work on that. So yeah, I have a video called Stash It or Trash It. Helped you determine, are you going to keep it or not? Choose an area once a week. And just, for me, usually that means at the end of the day, instead of going upstairs and reading a book, it's like, okay, let's tackle this area. Pour yourself a glass of wine or your favorite beverage, whatever you drink, coffee, hot chocolate, tea, wine, whatever, or nothing. And get to work and organize one space. You will feel so great when you've got that done. And then just all of this, it means when you come down into your quilting space, you don't look around and go, oh, I should really organize that. Oh, that's such a mess. It's going to be enjoyable. You're going to have things where you need them, be able to find fabrics and rulers and everything else when you want to start on a project. Your UFOs are listed so that you know, oh, I should get to that. Yeah, that's on my tackle this year. And you're going to be in a good, happy place. Because for me, I always say, my quilt factory is my happy place. And this, so much for being in Do Not Disturb mode. Apologies for that. I could have swore I had that phone on Do Not Disturb. Guess not. Yeah, you want this to be a happy place to be able to come and really enjoy what you're doing and be productive. And if you're like me, you also have a fur baby that likes to be with you. So I'm going to make sure that he's got a little couch down here that he curls up with a blanket. I need to take that blanket up and get it washed. If you've got doggy beds, make sure they're all clean and ready to go for them. We had doggy beds down here. Charlie decided he'd rather lay on the hard linoleum floor, laminate floor, closest to me, rather than being curled up in a dog bed. So make those fur babies happy too, so you and them can enjoy the space. There you go. Happy New Year's. Thank you so much for watching. And don't make this a stress. These are things to help you get organized, thoughts to be aware of, but don't let it be a stressor. This is to make you enjoy your space and enjoy your quilting, not give you one more thing to stress about. So if it's stressing you too much, ignore it all and just go quilt. Enjoy your life. Take care, and thank you so much for watching.